I'm Peggy, 64. It's been a whirlwind since I found myself in this luxurious villa in Switzerland. Just a few months ago, I was that invisible old woman, the one who was always taken for granted. But now, I'm living a life I never dared to dream of. It all started on a Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting in my shabby armchair, watching my favorite cooking show, when the phone rang. It was my daughter-in-law, Lisa. Her voice was as cold as ice. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes," she shouted over the phone. I replied with a simple "enjoy." Little did she know that this would be the last straw for me. I remembered the days when my son, Tom, was just a boy. After his father passed away, it was just the two of us. We were a team. He'd help me set the table while I cooked our simple meals, and we'd talk about his day at school, his dreams, and his fears. But then Lisa came into our lives. She was 28, 7 years younger than Tom, with a haughty attitude and designer clothes that cost a fortune. When Tom first brought her to my small apartment, she looked around with disdain. "It's so rustic," she said, her words dripping with condescension. As time went on, things changed. Tom started declining my dinner invitations because Lisa preferred fancy restaurants. He stopped calling as often because Lisa thought he was too attached to me. When they got engaged, I wasn't involved in the wedding planning. Lisa's mother took over everything, saying it was more convenient that way. I should have stood up for myself then, but I didn't want to be the difficult mother-in-law. So I stepped back, hoping they would appreciate my sacrifice. But they never did. After they got married, I became an obligation. I'd bring homemade dishes to family gatherings, only to have them ignored while everyone praised Lisa's catered food. I'd offer to help, but they'd always say everything was under control. And Tom, my sweet boy, would just sit there silently as Lisa treated me like a servant. That day, after Lisa's call, I looked at myself in the blank TV screen. A 64-year-old woman with graying hair, wearing a worn-out cardigan. When had I become so invisible? I decided then and there that I was done. I picked up the phone and called Tom. "Mom." He sounded surprised. "Hello, sweetheart. I won't be coming to Thanksgiving this year," I said firmly. He tried to convince me, but I was resolute. "I have other plans," I told him. The next morning, I received a letter in an elegant cream envelope. It was from a law firm in New York. My hands trembled as I opened it. It informed me of the passing of my old friend, Vivian. As per her will, I was named a beneficiary. Vivian and I went back to our college days. I was 20 then, from a middle-class family, but Vivian was from a wealthy one. Her family owned a chain of hotels. We were inseparable until I fell in love with Tom, a mechanic. My parents were happy about our relationship, but Vivian's family thought I was beneath her. We drifted apart after that. The law firm told me that Vivian had left me a villa in Switzerland and a substantial trust fund. I couldn't believe it. I called the firm right away, and they confirmed everything. The villa was near Lake Geneva, with a view of the Alps. It was furnished with antiques and art, and the trust fund would provide me with a monthly income that I'd never seen before. I was filled with a mix of excitement and fear. What did I know about living in Switzerland? But then, I thought about Lisa's cruel words and Tom's silence. I decided to take the plunge. I called the law firm again and asked them to arrange a flight for me. When I landed in Geneva, a driver named Hans was waiting for me at the airport. He was a middle-aged Swiss man with a kind smile. "Welcome to Switzerland, Madame Peggy," he said. As we drove to the villa, he told me about Vivian's last years. She lived quietly at the villa, reading, gardening, and keeping in touch with friends. She'd received a letter from someone in my town about my difficult situation, and that's when she decided to make sure I'd be taken care of. When I saw the villa, I was in awe. It was like something out of a fairy tale. Stone walls covered with ivy, tall windows overlooking beautiful gardens, and in the distance, Lake Geneva sparkled like diamonds. Mrs. Weber, the housekeeper, greeted me at the door. "Welcome home, madam," she said with a curtsy. Inside, the villa was even more magnificent. High ceilings, silk wallpaper, and antique furniture that looked like they belonged in a museum. In my bedroom, there was a framed photo of Vivian and me from our college days, and a letter from her. My dearest Peggy, it read, I always knew you were the bravest of us all. You chose love over wealth, and I've admired you for that. This villa is your home now. Live your life to the fullest. I spent the next few weeks exploring my new life. I took up photography again, just like I used to in college. I posted some of my photos on Facebook, which I rarely used before. The response was overwhelming. Some old friends were happy for me, but others were skeptical. One day, Tom called me. Mom, what's going on? Where are you getting the money for all this? He asked, his voice filled with confusion. I told him I'd inherited it from an old friend. He couldn't believe it. Lisa's voice was in the background, suggesting I might be getting scammed. I was furious. Tom, I'm not an idiot. I'm living the life I deserve, I said firmly. I also warned him that if he ever questioned my sanity again, I'd cut him off. A few days later, I received a bunch of missed calls from Tom and Lisa. Their messages were a mix of apology and panic. Tom said he was sorry for not standing up for me, and Lisa said she hoped I'd come back for Christmas. Christmas was approaching, and I was in two minds. But then, Tom called again. His voice was different this time. Mom, I've been thinking. I've seen how happy you are, and I realize I've been a terrible son. I'm sorry for everything. Lisa and I are having problems, and I'm starting to see her true colors. I invited Tom to visit me in Switzerland. When he arrived, he was amazed by the villa. We talked for hours about his childhood, about the mistakes we'd both made. He told me he was thinking of separating from Lisa because she made him feel small, just like she'd made me feel. On his last night here, we sat on the balcony, watching the lights from the village reflect on the lake. Mom, I hope you'll come back to visit sometimes, but I understand if this is your home now, he said. I told him I'd think about it, but I also made it clear that this was where I belonged now. As I watch the sunset over Lake Geneva, I feel a sense of peace and freedom. I've reclaimed my life, and I'm not going to let anyone make me feel small again. I'm Peggy, and I'm ready to live every day of the rest of my life to the fullest.